What is going on, people? My name is Eric Piccioni. I'm making this video and it will trigger some people, but I'm making it because it is strictly based on my opinion, my viewpoint on how I see these topics. And this topic today is about moving to Russia. And I know a lot of you guys might be thinking, holy hell, what's wrong with you? Why would you possibly consider moving there? I will cover all of those points later in the video, but I'm wanting to give some context. I made this channel to document my process to financial freedom and trying to share every possible thing that I've learned along the way. And in doing so, I'm not only educating my family in the future, I want to have this as a documentation of future me to show my family, but also help people along the way who might feel stuck, might not know where to go, and might want some education or perspective shift, rather. I'm not all-knowing. I don't claim to be. I'm just sharing personal experience on what I've seen and experienced in my own way. And that is why I actually feel very strongly about this decision, because of what I've experienced. You know, there are a lot of patriotic people in America who are like, we're number one, we're the greatest country of all time. There's a lot of reasons why it's great to be an American. You have a lot of opportunity to be an entrepreneur here, but I do not think that America is the greatest country in the world. And I'll cover a couple of reasons, not only like why America might not be number one, but just specifically why I'm moving to Russia in the future. And I hopefully next year, maybe 2 years from now, it's not like I dislike America. I genuinely like it for a lot of reasons. And I'm not trying to make this to be bashing America in any way. I'm just sharing my personal opinion, my perspective, what I've experienced, and to why we're deciding to move abroad. So first thing, quality of food in Russia, significantly better. It tastes better. It's better quality for the country as a whole. And I'm laughing right now because I'm not trying to make it like a bashing thing on America, so I apologize. But these are just true facts, or rather perspectives and experiences that I've seen. If you disagree with me, feel free to let me know in the comments. But again, until you've seen it with your own eyes, then you can definitely give a perspective and I'll be open to it. But if you're just going off of what you've seen online, you're kind of living in a bubble and you haven't really seen it firsthand. So it's hard to give an opinion or hard to give a viewpoint on something that you haven't fully seen firsthand. So prefacing that, quality of food, mind-blowingly different in terms of taste or just overall quality. The foods there, they don't have nearly as many chemicals put into the foods. Yes, you will have your processed foods like, you know, candies and stuff, but it's not overloaded with sugars. You know, you get a soda from the shop or from the grocery store and it doesn't taste like it's chemically made. For the most part, their sugar, their foods, their sweets, their candies, their sodas are a lot less sweet and they don't burn in your mouth whenever you drink one of their sodas. They have their version of Coca-Cola. It's a lot less sweet or strong in flavor. I've had some energy drinks in Russia and it tastes significantly less sugary. It's a lot more based on like vitamins and nutrients than it does on like the caffeine content or the sugar itself. That's something that I did notice, you know, immediately. So it's not uncommon to lose a lot of weight whenever you go to another country because they don't pack their foods full of sugars and chemicals. So I actually lost weight when I came back from a 2-week trip to Russia, and we ate out almost every day and we had tons of food all the time and I didn't feel like crap after eating it. You know, we went to McDonald's, which is now called Vkusny Tochka over there because of sanctions, and it feels like a 4-star restaurant, and the food, you eat it and you're running around the rest of the day. You don't feel soggy or sluggish. So that was something that I noticed. That's also extremely easy to get around on foot in Russia and, you know, most European countries, but specifically Russia. There's taxis, there's trains, there's subways, there's buses. You know, it's very easy to get from point A to point B. They have a version of Uber, which is called Yandex Taxi. It is extremely affordable from an American's income. We went to St. Petersburg. We took a 45-minute taxi ride and it cost us like $7 or something like that. It was like $7 or $8, so wildly affordable. The train to go from my wife's city of Yaroslavl to St. Petersburg was $60, which is like a 12-hour train ride, and all in $120 for the train there and back is crazy. And you sleep overnight usually, so it works really well. You can get anywhere you need to by taxi, bus, train, subway, depending on the major city that you're in. Moscow, St. Petersburg, you're going to have a lot more ease of access or ease of transportation, but even then, taxis are perfectly fine, buses are perfectly fine, they're affordable. And if not every city that I've experienced or been to in Russia is very easy to walk around on foot. Assuming that you live in the center or near the city, you're gonna have no issues getting around on foot. And it's actually typically the preferred way of travel is you walk most places. The medical cost is extremely affordable there as well. So that was something that I appreciated because I got all of my hormone examinations, all of my blood tests, my testosterone, everything that you would typically get for $50 all in, which is crazy because it'd be no question like $500+ in the States. That was really awesome to see. And one thing that I wasn't really sure how to talk about is the safety. The topic of safety in America is a fragile one. And I'm not saying Russia is like the safest country in the world. I definitely don't think so. Usually where you have poverty, you're going to have crime. But my intention is not to live in a poor city or state, especially when you go abroad, your dollar travels further. So for me personally, when I was walking around at night in Yaroslavl or any major city, I didn't feel unsafe. I felt perfectly fine. Just today, for example, we had a mass shooting in Massachusetts in America. 16 people were shot. And it just seems like a very common theme for mass shootings to happen now, especially in schools and out in public. It's just like it's a little freaky that it's so common now that you see something online and you're like, oh wow, that sucks. My condolences to everyone that has been involved in any tragic situation, not only in America but in the world. But it just seems like America it's significantly more common, and it's not even gang related in some cases. A lot of these are just basic public places that this is happening in, and it's tragic, and I feel like we're so conditioned now to see that, and that's not okay. I don't see that much in Russia. You don't see it on the news, you don't see it on the media, and it's not like it's not happening, but I not once had a conversation with any of the locals about the unsafe conditions in Russia. I mean, yes, there's gangs and mobs and everything like most countries have, but it's not a problem if you're not a problem-causing person. Like if you're not a criminal, you're not going to run into that. So that was something that I noticed as well. What I really love about Russia is that their focus is on family, where we would walk around in parks and we would be surrounded by people walking with their kids, their whole family is together. Of course the man or the woman works a majority of the day. Everyone has careers, who doesn't? But when I see people walking and they're all together, they're all walking as a family, on the weekends or at the parks, they're all hanging out. It's a very common thing to see people in groups going somewhere, and it's not like we don't have that in the States, but I promise you that most European families, Russian families, I'll just keep it to Russia, it's like they genuinely believe if you don't have family, you have nothing, and that is a Eastern ideology for the most part. Is your family is your number one priority, religion of course as well, but you have to spend time with your family, and that is a big part of what keeps you sane, is making sure that you take priority over making sure that they're taken care of. And of course finances comes with that, but there's a big focus on that. They don't have the greatest economy, so when times are tough, like the one thing that you can count on is your family. And that was something that I really appreciated. You know, my daughter was loved, and she was like, any time that we ever needed someone to watch over her, they like almost got offended that we didn't send her over to our or my mother-in-law's house as soon as we got there. Like, we were always surrounded and provided with support anytime we needed it. But it's like, you go to any family and it's just dinners as a group every single day. Everyone's chatting and having a fun time, usually 2 to 3 hours of time spent together per night for dinner. So rambling aside, family is a big part of the Russian culture, and I really appreciate that. The other thing that I really like is the mentality of the people there is a lot different. There's not as big of an ego from what I see. I think people are, they're standoffish. They don't know you, so why would they go out of their way to try to meet you? But the mentality is they're humble, they're hardworking people, and they really want to, again, provide as much as they can for their family and make sure that they're taken care of. And I appreciate that, because I feel like in the States, again, I'm going to trigger some people here, but the women in America are on something. They're very egotistical. They're very driven with the fact that the man is below them for some reason, which is beyond me. I feel like if we're pushing for equality, I'm all for that. I'm all for equality, but I think that the women, for the most part, I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of the women here are very disoriented with the reality of how things actually are or should be, because I feel like everyone is doing their best, and there's no reason that you should put a man or a woman below you in the rankings or whatever. So it's a little weird. The women here you have a conversation about how he cooked dinner or bought her this new diamond necklace, and she's like, as he should. It's like, it's frustrating to see, because I think the Russian mentality is the man provides, the woman takes care of the house, or maybe she works. It's not super common to have the woman work all the time, but I'm okay. I'm indifferent either way. If my wife wants to work while I'm also working, then that's fine. But I would love to see her at the house and just make sure the house is clean. It's not like it's a priority either way. But the woman mentality in America, in Russia, is more traditional. The man makes the money, the woman takes care of the house, she takes care of the family, like keeps the kids rolling and makes sure everyone has food in their stomach. It's much more common for that to happen. Of course, you're not going to have everyone be on the same page, but I think the mentality in America definitely needs a reality check a little. And again, triggering a lot of people here. I just don't think that the Western mentality is in the best place as of right now. There's a lot of the transgender talks and all of that. That's all a little mind numbing. It's getting a little ridiculous, and you don't see that in Russia. You talk to people about the transgender, all of that whole side of things, like LGBTQXYZ Batman symbol, and they're like confused that people could even think that way. You ask them, what should you do about those people, and they want to put them in mental hospitals, and it's like, well, I mean, you're not wrong, and it's not the only place that happens. I mean, there's transgender people all over, but the priority or the focus is, let's keep things simple. It's a traditional way of living, and not for everyone, right? But for me, it's simple. It's nice to know where the priorities are in the family and where they are in the relationship, and that's comforting, knowing that's where it's at. And the last thing is just the cost of living. It's again, the economy isn't like thriving in Russia, but from an American standpoint, bringing your dollar or the euro, for example, bringing your currency And if you have a remote job, for example, you go to Russia, your dollar will carry more. And it's not like you should, take full advantage of it, but, if people are complaining about the cost of living in the States, which it is wildly expensive right now, it really is. It's expensive everywhere though. Inflation is quite ridiculous. However, there's a saying that I love, which is, if you can't win the game, change the rules. And for me, changing the rules is changing your place of living. If you can find a way to earn digital income and go to another country, you will have your dollar carry much further. Like I said, we went on a 45-minute taxi ride for $7. I went on a 30-minute taxi ride or Uber ride when I got back from the airport. It was $85. So it's like, I would rather have a house, a meal, and cover everything that we possibly need for a month's worth of living for a family of 3 for like $1,500 versus $5,000 like it's here in the States. And a real quick example, we went to St. Petersburg, got all of my medical tests, ate out multiple times in the 2 weeks that I was here, got a bunch of groceries, like basically did everything that you could possibly do all the tourist things, travel to multiple cities. All of that was like $500 or $600. And we had our dog sitter and the Uber ride alone be $600 for the time that we left. Medical costs, student tuition, and everything in Russia is like significantly less expensive and maybe not even a cost. Like we had a in-home doctor come and check on our daughter while she got sick when we were in Russia. It was $7 for a doctor to come into the house, check on our daughter for like an hour. I had 2 of my teeth get fixed. I had some discoloration on my caps. I had chipped my tooth a long time ago in sports. It was like $100 for these 2 teeth to get completely fixed, whitened, everything, and like a little bit of cleaning around the mouth too. Bro, what? $100. Like I said, the medical tests, I had a pedicure, got to get those pretty feet. And it was like maybe $50 for a pedicure and a like cosmetic fix. I did like the eyebrows and everything. So again, the quality of life is to me significantly better because finances are not a challenge anymore. And it's not just for Russia, but it's most countries. You take your American dollars, you transfer it over to that country, and you're going to live a much higher quality of life for a significant reduction in cost. Again, a place living in Russia might be $500 to $800 is like a pretty nice apartment over there. And food is maybe comparable in cost, but everything else is quite low, and to me, it just makes sense. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got some value out of it. And thank you for sticking along through my rambling. I tried to cover as many topics as I could. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you agree, disagree, hate me, love me, whatever. Let me know in the comments below. But thank you so much. God bless and stay tuned.